This is a review of some of my motorcycle camping warm weather gear. I spent the night last night in my motorcycle camping trailer. As you can see, I've got some E-track on the floor, and if I was on a motorcycle trip, there'd be a motorcycle sitting right there. But since I'm just testing, unfortunately not riding. But I wanted to test a couple sleeping bags and some warm weather clothing to see what temperatures I could stay comfortable at. So last night it got down to 23 degrees, and I started out using my Z-Packs Classic 20 degree bag. You can see it here. It does not have a hood. It's more like a quilt that comes up over your shoulders, and it does pretty well. But I started getting cold at around midnight, and I got up and it was 30 degrees. I've got a nice thermometer here. It's 50 now because I've been running a heater, but I didn't run any heat last night. So at 30 degrees, I was starting to get cold with the Z-Packs 20 degree, which that's about right. The ratings on these are not for comfort, they're for survival. So would I have survived in that at 30 degrees? Most likely, but I was not comfortable. I'd heard that the rating, you need to add about 20 degrees to the rating for comfort, so keep that in mind. So at midnight, I got up and I switched bags, and I switched to my Western Mountaineering, and this is the Versalite 10 degree bag, and it is quite a bit beefier. It weighs around 2 pounds, and the Z-Packs weighs about 1 pound. So the Z-Packs bag is great if you need to pack down really small and light, say if you're backpacking or if you've got limited space on your motorcycle. But you're only going to be able to get down to, I would say, if you want to stay comfortable, I would say you wouldn't want to go below 35 degrees. Now this one, the 10 degree bag, I woke up this morning, it was 23 degrees in here, and I was still quite comfortable. Now I was wearing quite a bit of base layers as well. It's the same base layers that I would take if I was on a backpacking trip, so I wanted to test those out as well. And the base layers that I wore are the Smart Wool base layers. So it's long pants and a long sleeve shirt with a hood. And I also tested out the Z-Packs down booties and the down, it's like a hat, fits over your head snugly. And it's quite comfortable, and those worked really well. And for the pillow, I'm using a NEMO Fillo Elite. And it's one of the blow-up air pillows. It has two different sides. If it's hot out, you can use this side. It's a little cooler, and then in the winter, you can use this side. It's cloth. These blow-up pillows are hit or miss. They're not super comfortable, but you know, they pack down really small if that's what you need. So I wanted to test it out, and this is actually one of the most comfortable ones I've tried. I've tried probably 4 other ones, and they were like more like trying to sleep on a Ziploc bag full of air, but this one's not too bad. So another important thing is your sleeping mat. In fact, this is really important. A lot of people don't realize how important a sleeping mat is. You want to get one, if it's cold out, you want to get one that has the highest R value that you can afford and pack. This is one of the top ones. This is a Therm-a-Rest NeoAir XTherm. So it's extremely light. It's 1 pound, and it has an R value of 7, which is, if you start researching sleeping pads, you'll see that 7 is one of the highest ratings you can get for something that is not super heavy. Now, if you go with, you know, a 3 or 4 inch thick one, then it could have a higher R value, but you're not going to be able to pack it down very tight. And I also use just one of these cheap foldable mats, and these don't have hardly any R value. It might be 1 or less than 1, but I primarily use it just to protect this, because these are not the most durable things and they're very expensive. This one is over $200, so I want to say around $225. Quite expensive, but I wanted something that had a really high R value and that was also light in case I wanted to take it backpacking. Now this is the regular size, so it's only 20 inches wide and it's 72 inches long. If you're taller, there's a large, and it's 78 inches long, and it's also 25 inches wide. If this one ever wears out, I'm going to go with a wider one, because it only adds, I think it adds less than half a pound. So this one I think is 15 ounces, and the wide one is like 1 pound and 4 ounces. So I think that would definitely be worth it, because it's just, you know, sleeping on something so narrow is challenging, not very comfortable, and I think for the weight and the packable size, it's negligible. So I'd recommend going with the wide if you can. Let's see, anything else? So now if I was packing my stuff on my bike and going on a trip, obviously I wouldn't be in a trailer, I'd be in a tent. But I think the temperatures are going to be similar, because this is a very large space. So I don't think my body temperature, you know, heated this up much at all, if anything, maybe 1 degree, if anything. Sleeping in a, you know, a thin-walled tent, you don't have the thick walls, but you're in a smaller space. So that sometimes can retain a little bit of heat. So I think it's a fair comparison being in this trailer. I didn't use any heat, and it was 23 degrees in here. So I think if you were in a tent, it was probably a little colder outside, maybe a degree or two, but not much. Let's see, another tip, if it's really cold out, is you can wear a hat. So I also wore this hat, and you can pull this down when you're sleeping to where this comes down and just covers, you know, the tip of your nose. So that's very helpful. Because it was comfortable, it didn't block my breathing, and it kept, you know, the top half of my face and my nose warm. And then, you know, when you cinch this down, all that's sticking out is your nose and your mouth. So this type of mummy bag works really well. Well, I hope this maybe helps anybody who's wondering, you know, if they're looking at these exact sleeping bags, wondering how well they do. So again, this is the Z-Packs Versalite 20 degree. They also sell a 10 degree, so it would be warmer, and it weighs about 1 pound. And I would say it's good down to about 35 degrees comfort level. Probably colder. You'd still survive colder. This is the Western Mountaineering bag. I'm sorry, this is the Versalite. This is the Z-Packs Classic. I'm sorry. So Z-Packs Classic 20 degree. Western Mountaineering Versalite 10 degree. And this one weighs about 2 pounds. And I was comfortable when I woke up this morning at 23 degrees. I'm going to test it again later this week. It's supposed to get down to really cold, maybe 10. And we'll see how far I can take it. If I had to guess, I'd say, it was 23, I'd say probably 15, which is pretty good because it's only rated for 10. And normally you have to add about 20 degrees for comfort. So we'll see. Western Mountaineering is known for having, you know, warmer bags than some of the competitors. They use really high quality down. They may actually put, you know, they probably put a little bit more in it. and so their numbers are a little closer. Now I probably wouldn't be comfortable down to 10. I guess I'll test it out and see and let you know. But the downside of Western Mountaineering, and this is the only downside that I know of, is they're pricey. So this bag is over $600, maybe even maybe closer to 700. I haven't checked the prices lately. And Z-Pac's classic bag is right around $400. So not cheap, but you know, almost half the price and half the weight. So it makes sense that it's not going to be as warm. But you know, this bag has its bonuses. If you're backpacking and you don't have a lot of room, that would be better. This one doesn't pack down nearly as small, but it's much warmer. Well, hope you enjoyed the video. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.